great day here in the city of Miramar. We are able to welcome the Global Trade Show here. There were over 30 countries here, and this is so very important to us in the city of Miramar because we have worked very hard to have the reputation that we are business friendly. But more important than having the reputation is showing that we actually mean it, and to encourage the growth of businesses not only here but abroad. So that is a win-win for Broward County, the city of Miramar, and the many, many businesses here that attended this event. It was to how to learn how to do business here in this country, most importantly in Broward County, and hopefully right here in the city of Miramar, who is home to many headquarters of Latin American companies and other companies who have chosen to locate right here in the city of Miramar, because together with partnerships, we all grow, we all improve, and as the business community develops, it develops a better community. It not only improves our tax base, but it makes it better for the businesses, for them to want to locate here in the city of Miramar. So it's so very important that we extend the welcome mat whenever we have the opportunity.
Welcome to the 2014 Buyers and Sellers Global Convention in the beautiful city of Miramar, Florida, the hub for international trade. The Global Trade Chamber is very proud to host this event this year and produce it in conjunction with the city of Miramar, where we're bringing representatives from over 30 countries worldwide to South Florida. So it's a unique opportunity for Florida businesses to learn and connect with business representatives, consulates, trade offices from all over the world, to explore doing business around the world in one location. So the Global Trade Chamber has been serving the South Florida business community for over 15 years, promoting international trade, impacting in economic development, and doing many things like trade missions, conference, and seminars. And we're thrilled to be here. We're very excited about 2 days of incredible opportunities to connect and to learn. We're going to have the conferences in the next 2 days, which include topics like international trade, finance. We're going to have shipping and logistics, global law terms, because we need to know about the visas, we need to know about trade agreements. We're going to have information about franchising, a very hot topic worldwide. So there's endless opportunities for you to learn through the conferences. And also, we're going to have the matchmaking session, which is very important, where you're going to have, as a business, the opportunity to sit one-on-one with representatives from over 30 countries around the world. Now, there's not many places you can go and learn how to do business around the world without traveling to those countries. So this is a unique opportunity that we do once a year, and we have selected it this year in Miramar, Florida, because it is a very international city, a large Caribbean community, but also great businesses from around the world are here.
This global convention of sellers and buyers is about connecting businesses to do more trade. It's a first of its kind event for our facility here in Miramar. We were approached by the Global Trade Chamber, which is based in Sunrise and is promoting trade throughout Broward, to host the event. And so we were glad to partner with them, which we always are, with the economic development community throughout Broward County. We consider them one of our partners, and we try to continually make connections for businesses in this community. This is one of the first, it is the first actually, international-based events that we've done. So it's good for us to now be going in this direction. We have plenty of big companies and medium-sized, but even small companies can learn about doing trade, doing exporting, expanding their businesses, and that's what this is about. It's matchmaking, it's learning about how to do trade through some of the presentations both days, and getting to know each other and expanding business opportunities. And we're happy to do that. We're very supportive. The county's here as well, and we always closely work with them on events, and so we're happy to do that. And we will continue to do events like this going into the future. There are 31 countries represented here today, among which is Qatar, which is in the Middle East, which is the furthest representative to attend here. We also have Colombia and some other South American countries. We have China here. So it's a broad-based representation of the worldwide trade scene, and so that's very nice to see. And it's a testament to how much these countries want to do business in South Florida, but particularly in possibly Miramar or Broward County for sure. So it's a way for us also to raise the profile of the city and get into an area where we have not done too much of trade, but as you can see, people are interested. They want to be here. They want to learn about doing business in South Florida and Broward County and hopefully Miramar. So it's an exciting day, and we're looking forward to doing more things like this.
The matchmaking is about one-on-one appointments with country representatives with over 30 countries that are here in U.S. to learn and meet with American companies that want to do business with foreign markets. The meeting is about doing business with other countries. They're going to have the opportunity to learn more about the country, the market, the clients, and in general, the overview of that country.
Our country representatives that represent over 30 countries are here to help bring more business to their countries. So for the business people, they can make relationships with businesses in the U.S., and they can also export more into the United States. So it's a bilateral effort where they benefit and the U.S. companies benefit because we're all trying to do more business with each other.
We have several countries, over 30 countries that are involved in this matchmaking event, where you're going to have the opportunity to meet one-on-one with country representatives.
I'm the president of the Global Trade Chamber, and I've been involved in international trade with the CEO for over 15 years. So we have been working with many consulates, many business people around the world. We have been working with chambers in other countries where we build relationships and we help each other and we help our businesses. Over 92% of our businesses are small, and we don't put enough effort into helping them. So this is a great way to help our small businesses without a huge budget to meet other countries without traveling to those countries. So we've been doing this for about 15 years, trade missions, so we have this relationship for a long time, and we call the consulates, and we also select the key industries that are important for international trade, because people want to ship, so they need to know about shipping. They want to come here and get a business or a visa, so they need an attorney. So all those people are the people that are or are members of the Global Trade Chamber and our sponsors that we invite them to speak. They're either national or international experts on different fields.
We are the Swedish American Chamber of Commerce, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach. And we are here because we are trying to create business between the United States and Sweden and the other way around. And we got invited, and we think it's excellent. We have met a lot of people that can contribute to our organization, and we're hoping really to make a lot of things happen.
Some of the areas that Sweden is really strong in are life sciences, green tech, and overall technology. Those are some of the areas that Sweden has had a lot of success, and I think that's some of the areas that we believe we can match up with some of the interest here in South Florida.
We are 15,000 Swedish people here in Florida. A lot of active people, a lot of entrepreneurs in the tech business, and we have a lot in the real estate. Actually, we have a Swedish school here in Fort Lauderdale. We have a Swedish church. We have Svea, which is the Swedish Women Educational Association. So we're very active here in Florida.
I'm Barbara Staals. I'm a trade officer for the Netherlands consulate in Miami. We help Dutch companies to expand their business here in the southeast of the United States. Although we are located in Miami, we cover the southeast of the United States, but it helps to be here in the South Florida region. The event here in Miramar was very helpful. We spoke to a lot of companies that wanted to do business with the Netherlands or wanted to know more about what the Netherlands are doing in the field of business development. So I could tell them a little bit about what our niche markets are, what our top sectors are. Our Dutch government has, has allocated 9 top sectors that we want to expand better in internationally. So that was very helpful for the companies here to understand a little bit more about what the Netherlands can offer to the local businesses here, but also other way around, how they can operate in the Netherlands in the future. The 9 top sectors are logistics, and Miami or South Florida with the airport and the various seaports are very good in. So logistics, infrastructure, chemistry, or chemicals, I must say, because of the location in Texas and the oil sector and offshore sector there. We have life sciences, health, high-tech manufacturing, what else? Horticulture, so the flower industry in the Netherlands is of course huge. We have agriculture and food. The Netherlands, being such a tiny country, have their main export product is agriculture and food-related products. It's not only the potatoes, but it's the high end of agricultural that the Netherlands stands out. So we manufacture greenhouses that are energy sufficient or zero energy. They yield maybe 12 times more yield than a regular tomato field outdoors. So we have this high-tech, innovative agriculture and food technology in-house that has conquered the world, I must say. So that's basically the main industrial sectors that we focus on in the Netherlands.
I decided to come to the trade show because we are looking to really grow this market to Qatar. So I'm looking to actually meet with potential companies who may want to come over as a delegation to Qatar in February, which I am putting together, which I would allow them to potentially meet sponsorships, business opportunities, and actually do seminars on how to do business in Qatar. There's a lot of opportunity in so many different industries. I mean, obviously Qatar has gas. That's the biggest thing. Construction is huge. They won the World Cup 2022, so they're building about 10 different stadiums. Infrastructure, it's got a beautiful skyline that's continually being built, a railway system that needs to be built, subway system that needs to be built. So there's tons of opportunity, definitely on the construction side as well.
And another aspect of this great event is the conferences where we have national or international speakers. One thing that people don't realize is over 92% of the world's consumers reside outside of the U.S. So if you're only looking at the U.S. as your market, you're missing out on the majority of business. So that is a very important statistic that we don't think about. And many people that export only export to one country, right, Anli? They focus on one country. Most people that export only export to one country. So if we open their minds and the opportunities to other countries, we can impact economic development a lot greater.
I'm the president for Florida, China, and Chamber of Commerce. I look at Asia, not just China, as an entire sector of the market. Same thing with Malaysia or Thailand. A representative is not here, but actually I also am very familiar with Thailand because we have activities there. So other areas outside of China, including Taiwan, Hong Kong, Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, Cambodia, in terms of low labor costs, up and coming, Indonesia, so all those locations, there are a lot of opportunities there, and that's why actually a lot of the technology or manufacturing facility, they start migrating towards the western part of Southeast Asia, even Philippines. We have offices in Philippines also. One countries could be quite different than the other. So know the formality, the custom formalities. So that's very, very important because you don't want to upset anybody because if you made the wrong gesture. And in your mind, you don't think anything of it. And especially one of the problems that that I see that the Americans make. And actually, I grew up in this country. I've been here. I was born in Taiwan, so I've been here for quite some time, around 30 years, I would say. I don't want to count.
You don't want to tell your age.
Yeah, I don't want to give my age away or anything like that. But one of the things is, Americans, we have a tendency when we do business, And I commit the same fallacy in a sense, and it used to work. I spent about 8 years doing international trade with a Japanese company up in New Jersey before I moved down here to South Florida. One of the things is Americans, to a lot of the outsiders, we have a tendency to become, in a sense, I don't want to categorize it this way, but we're quite arrogant. So, in a sense that we expect the rest of the world to facilitate us. Now, I said they used to work, right? They used to work, and I would call different parts of the world, even Europe and things like that. Even though I know they have their own languages, and what do? I blast them with English, and actually I can hear on the phone that they're running, because they don't speak English and they're running. You hear their footsteps and stuff like that, and then where they're shouting across, trying to get somebody that speaks English to come and talk to me to facilitate me. Okay, because I was a potential customer. Now those things are slowly changing. And so we need to have, if we show more respect and things like that, we will get much, much further. In terms of sectors, which sector where the businesses are, look, I mean, China have come out into the limelight in the last, 10, 20 years. And now with the way the internet and everything like that, it's more open. So a lot of the opportunities are taken, okay? But even with that, there's still a lot of opportunities left. Now, they may not be, scattered on the surface where you just pick up, and that's what they used to do, just pick it up, basically just picking up like fruits from the ground. You do have, now these days, you do have to climb a little bit, but there are a lot of opportunities still. So all you gotta do is, to me, you gotta just flip over the rocks and look and see what's underneath those rocks. And so therefore, there's still a lot of opportunities there. Which sector, like Al says, if you look at the overall, if you're looking at an elephant and you're trying to sink your teeth into it, there's no way you're gonna fit that elephant into your mouth, okay? Never ever do that, and then you will become very, very frustrated if that's the approach you take.
I have a question for the gentleman from representing Malaysia about the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. For those of you who are not aware of that, this is an emerging regional agreement which will include 12 nations, countries in North and Central and South America of the Pacific Rim, as well as countries in Asia. Thus far, China is not involved, but we're hoping maybe that will be the case in the not too distant future. But Malaysia is one of the countries, and I'd just like maybe get your input on the potential of this. This is a 12-nation open agreement.
US proposing 5% duty on this one particular goods for everybody, so everybody has to agree on it. If one country, even Malaysia, we don't agree on it, and we say we don't agree. So if one country didn't agree on that proposal, whereas other 10 or 11 agree on it, so it cannot be agreed upon on that chapter. So I can say that negotiations are still in place, but so far, as I think you also know, that the progress of all the trade related, investment related, and a few other main chapters of the negotiation have been discussed in detail and going to be concluded. But there are also a few other issues that are still in the, I can say, debate by the negotiating countries. But for us, we really, for Malaysian government, we really like, it to be concluded, because this is a really big opportunity for us, not just to expand our trade with the US per se, but also to other 11 negotiating countries. So, you are killing, say, 11 birds with one stone. So that is the way that we are looking on it. Thank you.
The world starts here right now. This is the largest growing melting pot in the country, and we're just honored to have you from both of these organizations. Our next presenter is Mr. Troy from HSBC Bank. HSBC Bank happens to be the largest international bank on this planet, and we're honored to have you part of our organization, but also part of the panel.
There we go. Perfect. All right. So we have the top 5 U.S. export trade partners. 5 answers on the board. Who wants to give me the first? I saw the first hand over here. Panama? Let's see, Panama. I'm sorry, Panama is not one of the top 5, but very good guess. Yes, ma'am? Mexico. Mexico is the number 2 answer with 15% of the trade through the U.S. Let me tell you just a few facts about Mexico before we move on to the next one. It is the second largest goods export market with $226.2 billion in goods exports in 2013. The U.S. has a goods trade deficit of $54 billion for goods trade, while it has a services trade surplus of $12 billion with Mexico, creating an overall trade deficit of $42 billion with Mexico. The top U.S. exports to Mexico are machines, engines, and pumps at $38.5 billion, electronic equipment at $36.7 billion, oil at $23 billion, vehicles at $21.6 billion, and plastics at $15.3 billion. NAFTA, which is the North American Free Trade Association, has fostered a strong trade relationship between Mexico and the U.S. by virtue of the agreement's comprehensive market opening rules and creating more equitable set of trade rules as trade barriers are reduced and eliminated in Mexico. Mexico's position, both geographically and respect to its business culture, puts it in the center of a diverse collection of markets and sectors. The General Customs Administration is the authority in charge of enforcing the laws regarding customs clearances, as well as determining customs systems, methods, and procedures. And Mexico is a federal republic comprised of 31 states and a federal district in Mexico City, with its political system made up of 3 levels of federal, state, and municipal, very similar to the U.S. And now we'll go back. So we're doing pretty well. Next guest, lady in the back. Canada, playing on the NAFTA agreement, Canada is number 1 at 19% of the total U.S. trade. And a little bit about Canada, obviously it's the largest export market with $300 billion in exports in 2013 of goods. We had a goods trade deficit of $31.8 billion with Canada, while our services trade surplus again was $31.4 billion, creating a very small overall trade deficit of $40 million with Canada. The top U.S. exports to Canada are vehicles at $51.7 billion, machines, engines, and pumps at $45.3 billion, electronic equipment at $26.8 billion, oil at $24.7 billion, and plastics at $13 billion. Canada is one of the world's major trading nations where free market and private enterprise predominates. Since NAFTA was signed between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, it's created the world's largest trading bloc, but those 3 countries have the largest trading bloc in the world. Qualifying goods that originate in the NAFTA territories can enter Canada with duty-free, and Canada has very few import restrictions. The Canadian Border Service Agency is the key administrative body in respect to the imports and exports, and customs clearance is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at most of their major ports. And Canada is a mixture of global cultures, which include large Asian, Southeast Asian, and European communities. So good, we have the top 2 answers now. Now it gets a little tougher. Yes, gentlemen there. China. I don't know how to stop the music, I'm sorry. But let's see, China is number 3. You're absolutely right, at 7%. Did you already see this presentation, sir? A little bit about China, obviously. We think of China more for all the goods that they export to us, but they're still our 3rd largest export market as well, with $122 billion in goods exported in 2013. However, we have the largest trade deficit of anybody with China because we have a trade deficit of $318 billion in goods, while the service trade surplus is $17 billion, creating an overall trade deficit of $301 billion. Obviously, a lot of the services that we export there probably are in the trade-related industries as well. So the top U.S. goods exports to China, oilseed at $13.8 billion, aircraft and spacecraft at $12.6 billion, machines, engines, and pumps at $12.2 billion, electronic equipment at $11.4 billion, and vehicles at $10.3 billion. China is the world's largest exporter and has the 2nd largest economy, as it surpassed Japan in 2010. China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001, and market access has gradually been phased in. Although many industries are still largely state-owned in China, economic reforms have led to unprecedented change in the nature of the business environment, and the non-state sector is growing rapidly in importance. The customs law of the People's Republic of China was first issued in July 1987 and amended in July 2000, requiring importers and exporters to register with customs before customs declarations. And as it was talked about by Mr. Lee earlier, China is now looking toward domestic demand as a key driver for their continued growth. As they, as through the recession and everything else, a lot of their growth is their very large population and their consumer needs. All right, so now we have the top three. Now we have to dig pretty deep. Who's got another guess? Right here? Caribbean country, not region. The Caribbean, I think probably as a whole would probably fall up there, but none of the individual countries do. So now be careful. We have 2 strikes. We don't want to get the buzzers. Gentleman right there. Japan. Very good. Japan is number 4, 4%. Another country you don't always think about for exports, but they're our 4th largest with a $65.1 billion in goods exports in 2013. The U.S. had a goods trade deficit of $73 billion, while it had a service trade surplus again of $20 billion, creating an overall trade deficit of $53 billion. I think we're seeing a theme that services we tend to have a surplus in. These are areas that we probably look to expand on our imports or our exports going forward. Top U.S. exports to Japan: medical and technical equipment at $8 billion, aircraft and spacecraft at $7.1 billion. Machines, engines, and pumps at $5.8 billion, electronic equipment at $4.9 billion, and meat at $3.3 billion, tied with pharmaceuticals at $3.3 billion. Japan is the 3rd largest economy and among the most dynamic and advanced countries in the world. The U.S.-Japan trade alliance is the cornerstone to U.S. security interest in Asia, and it's fundamental to regional stability and prosperity, probably one of our biggest allies. Japan and the United States belong to a number of the same international organizations. You can see many of them there, including the World Trade Organization at the end. And tariffs on most imported goods into Japan are low. However, cultural, regulatory, and other non-tariff barriers exist and make the market entry difficult. And traditionally, bureaucracy has played a large role in the Japanese economy, although the degree of its influence has diminished over the years. So we just have one more. We have 1 strike available. So anybody want to venture a guess at the 5th? Gentleman in the front. Germany, right? Germany. That would have been number, oh, now I lost it again. That would have been number 6, though. They were the 6th largest, and they're not far behind, so United Kingdom. UK is the 5th largest export market with $47.4 billion in total exports. Overall trade deficit of $5.5 billion. I didn't have the breakdown between services and goods, unfortunately. The U.S. exports are aircraft and spacecraft, machines, engines, and pumps, gems and precious metals and coins, electronic equipment, and medical and technical equipment. The 6th largest economy in the world and a major international trading power. The UK, while geographically small, it's only the size of the state of Oregon, has a population of 63 million people and is the 3rd largest economy in Europe. The UK is a flexible and business-minded location. It's positioned geographically and in respect to the business culture, puts it at the center of a diverse collection of markets and sectors. And the UK attaches great importance to free competition, so it does not impose price controls, and there is a complete absence of exchange controls. And most importantly, as Al pointed out before, it's the headquarters for HSBC. So anyway, thank you all. I hope you had some fun with it, and I will now turn it over to JC.
Let's talk a little bit about the risk involved in doing business overseas and how to overcome some of those risks. One of the major risks that some of our clients face, nowadays is political risk. There's some war disturbances, revolutions in certain countries. For example, one of my clients, they were dealing with Libya a couple of months ago, and there was civil unrest. So basically, the goods couldn't get into the country because the ports were closed. So basically, my client got stuck, without payment for a couple of months. So these are things that, are very dynamic. You need to definitely know what countries you're dealing with. And also, some of the other risks that could happen is basically the foreign exchange risk. For example, not being able to convert the currency of the local country into US dollars. We got an example right on your backyard, Venezuela, and also with Argentina, very difficult to get the dollars to pay for those imports. So these are things that you need to definitely take a good look at it before you're dealing, with certain countries. When it comes to the transaction, the commercial risk, there's always sometimes there's disputes between buyers and sellers. Who controls the title of the goods while the transaction's in process? When the shipment is leaving from one place to another one, who has the title of the product? Also, liquidity, insolvency, as currencies go up and down, maybe your buyer, the product that you were selling to them now is double the price. So there can be some liquidity problems there. Then, there's an inability to finance export accounts receivables. If you come to a bank and you ask the bank to finance those foreign receivables, the bank is going to say no. Unless, you obtain some sort of like insurance financing. But that's some of the things that, also you need to take into account is the control and quality of the goods, your working capital being tied up. The trade cycle on international transaction is way longer than a domestic transaction. So you need to be aware of that. Also, there's documentary risk. You might have a freight forward prepare your documents, and they might make some mistakes. The consignment can be incorrectly, and they could also delay your payments. So, how do I go? What about this? Oh, there you go. So basically, one of the most important aspects of the transaction is your sales contract. Whenever you're dealing with international transactions, you need everything spelled out in the pro forma invoice when you present, your contract to your clients. You need to know what payment method is going to be settled for the transaction. Are you going to be utilizing a trade product? Is it going to be an open account? Which parties are involved? Is there going to be any banks, any agents? Really the goods is very important to have a complete description of the goods, units, pricing. The shipping method, is it going to be by air, is it going to be by ocean? And also the documents. You need to know what documents are required for you to be able to export to certain countries. So basically, in trying to choose the method of payment, you need to take certain considerations. For example, what is the buyer's credit standing? You need to do some due diligence on that buyer of yours. Are they a large enough company? Is it a small company? Also, you as a seller, are you going to be able to finance the transaction yourself, or are you going to need your bank to provide you some sort of like capital for you to be able to carry over the transaction? And also, how many competitors are there? If you're selling goods that are very competitive, definitely price is going to be a really important issue for you to be able to win some bids. And also, industry customs. What packaging is required for you to be able to export to certain countries? Sometimes the labels, it needs to be in Spanish or some other language, so that's very important to be aware of. Amount of transaction, of course, and then regulatory environments. So based on that, these are the different methods of payments that banks can help you with. If I'm an exporter, definitely cash in advance is going to be the preferred method. I get the money, I ship the goods to you. The next less risky method for you is basically a letter of credit. With a letter of credit, your bank will guarantee you that if you ship the product and all the documents and the conditions of the letter of credit are met, you're going to get your payment no matter what. Even if your buyer backs out, you're still going to get your payment because letters of credit are irrevocable. Next is basically documents against collection. So basically, I take my documents, I give them to my bank, and my bank will send those documents overseas. Once those documents are presented to the buyer will pay, and then I'll receive my payment, and the documents are going to be surrendered to the buyer, which is basically the title of the product. And then you have the open account transactions, which is basically the most risk way of doing business, but by giving terms to some of these buyers, you're able to get more sales going. So these are basically the main payment methods. I think the trade cycle is very important for you to be aware of. The trade cycle is the whole length of the transaction, from beginning to end. Since the order is placed until you ship, the goods are received, and then you receive your payment. So basically, this will help your bank determine, for you, what is the best way of financing and help you to mitigate the risk.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Grant Kaplan. I'm an attorney in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm a U.S. attorney, also a South African attorney, which accounts for my funny accent. We practice immigration law and international law. We also affiliate ourselves with specialists in tax, international trade, and various other aspects of the law. We have associated offices worldwide, and we pretty much deal with attorneys in many countries on a regular basis. In my office, there are 4 attorneys practicing and 7 paralegals. We pride ourselves on providing a great service, and typically we cover the full spectrum, both of immigration law, and affiliate ourselves with specialists where we need to in other areas. We travel extensively overseas and have other visitors from around the world visiting us on a regular basis. My presentation today will be principally relating to different visa options, but also to some extent relating to the basics of mediation and various other aspects. Now, doing business in the United States from a foreign business perspective involves a couple of different aspects. Of course, the person coming into the United States, or the entity coming into the United States, has got a number of decisions that they need to make. Are they going to incorporate in the United States? Are they going to trade in the United States? Or are they simply going to deal with a U.S. entity on its behalf? And those entities coming into the United States, who are coming in to operate, or at least set up a presence in the United States, from a business perspective, have got a number of choices to make. Are they going to incorporate a company? Are they going to just file a DBA, doing business as? And if they are setting up a corporation, what type of corporation should they set up? What are the consequences of each? And how do they deal with that? I'm going to deal briefly with the different types of corporation, just from a very basic point of view, so that people who may be interested in this could take cognizance of it. Filing a DBA is just doing business as, or an assumed or fictitious business name. It allows a company to transact using a different name. For sole proprietorships and general partnerships, unless the DBA is filed, the company name is the same as the owner's name or trading entity. Typically, these would apply to people who are in sole proprietorships and who don't wish to formalize on any type of basis. For sole proprietorships, the advantages are it does not provide the same ongoing compliance requirements of companies who have incorporated or formed an LLC in the United States. Most people who are coming in would seek to set up some type of a corporate entity. And there one needs to decide between an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, or any other options that they may seek to do. Dealing first with a C Corp is a separate legal entity which is set up under state law, protects the owner's assets from creditors' claims, and it makes you a regular C corporation, which is a separate taxpayer with income and expenses taxed to the corporation and not to the owners. That differs somewhat from an S Corp. Once you've incorporated, you can elect the S corporation status by filing a form with the IRS, with your state, and if applicable, so that profits and losses and other tax items pass through the corporation onto you and are reported on your personal tax returns. So that's essentially the difference between the C Corp and the S Corp. As far as an LLC is concerned, this is another business type that is formed under state law and gives you personal liability protection. In the S corporation, the shareholders are employees of the corporation, whereas with an LLC, the members are self-employed individuals. So there is somewhat of a difference in that. Ultimately, it's going to make a difference depending upon who you're trading with, what you propose to set up, how you propose to trade in the United States, and of course, each circumstance is different. Dealing with joint ventures with United States entities, as from the foreign perspective coming into the United States, of course, you're going to need to set up a trade agreement, and when one deals with these agreements, one needs to have a look and see, what do you seek to achieve? What is it that you're really looking to achieve over here? Is it a distributorship? Is it some kind of a joint venture? Each aspect of the venture needs to be specified and outlined in the agreement. And again, I implore you all to take a advice from an expert, to seek an attorney's opinion, and to put everything in writing. Representation in the USA in most instances is highly recommended. And understand from the foreign perspective, what are you getting into? There's taxes, duty, shipping, other charges, including hidden charges, as we heard from the guys from HSBC a few minutes ago. There's various ways to assist and to secure your investment and to secure your trade and to secure your practice in the United States. Familiarize yourself or get competent representation to assist throughout. That applies from the legal point of view, from the accounting point of view, from the tax point of view. As we know, once mistakes are made or one party takes advantage of the other, the consequences may be dire, both financially and personally, and there may be little escape to get out of that. So that is really from the trade point of view that I wish to chat briefly about. I'm going to talk briefly also about mediation and arbitration, because I was asked to do that. Mediation really is a voluntary dispute resolution process. All parties must consent to the mediation in good faith and work towards a mutually agreeable resolution. These parties are not bound to resolve their dispute, although once mediated settlements are reached, they can be made binding if the parties decide to draft a contract and make that an order of court. Mediations are not decided in favor of one party or another. Typically, the mediator will counsel both parties on the strengths and weaknesses of their cases and gauge each party's likelihood of success if the dispute were to proceed to litigation or to arbitration. Arbitration, on the other hand, is a dispute resolution process in which a neutral party, known as an arbitrator, hears a dispute between one or more of the parties, considers all the relevant information, and renders a final decision in favor of one of the parties. The arbitration decisions may be binding or not binding, depending upon the arbitration agreement, and binding arbitrations decisions may be confirmed by a court and carry the same significance as a court judgment. And typically in the agreements that I spoke about earlier, parties frequently would decide rather to arbitrate rather than to go the court route, which is typically much quicker and somewhat less informal, more informal and expeditious in terms of its processes and so on. Going on to the visa side of things, as a foreign entity coming into the United States, or an individual seeking to come into the United States to come and live in the United States, of course there are many different options which face the individual, some of which they may be eligible for and some not. I'm going to start at the top of the ladder and go down, so to speak. And starting at the top, we talk about an investor visa, which is also known as an EB-5, Entrepreneurs Investors Visa. There are two types of EB-5 programs. There's a regular program, which is called an active EB-5 process, and a regional center program, which is a passive investment. If one is going the active route, one has to follow three basic requirements. It must be an investment in a new commercial enterprise, typically, although there are exceptions to that rule. The investment must either be $500,000 in what is known as a targeted employment area, or one requires otherwise an investment of $1 million to be invested in the business. One also needs to employ at least 10 full-time workers within 2 years of the approval of the program. In the passive EB-5 program, this is a passive investment in terms of which an investor would invest in a regional center. And a regional center is nothing other than an entity which has got the approval of the Immigration Service to take in investors to come and invest in particular projects. Currently, there are more than 500 regional centers. Most are real estate based, but not necessarily. There are others in manufacturing and across the full spectrum of business. And incidentally, it's a great way, if any of you are interested in bringing in foreign investors, to bring in investment, frequently much easier than trying to raise money locally or from an institution, as long as it's approved by the Immigration Service for a particular project, you're good to go. In the regional center, the investment is $500,000. There's also typically a fee which is paid, an administration fee which is paid to the regional center. There is no need for you to do anything other than to put up your money and show where the money came from. The regional center needs to show that they have created the 10 employees, either directly or indirectly. The passive investor doesn't need to be living in the same state as the regional center investment, could be living anywhere, and of course, upon approval, husband, wife, and kids under the age of 21 will get what is called a conditional green card. So the process, very briefly, is to file what is called an I-526 petition. Once that's approved, we get the green card, the conditional green card petition, and after 2 years, we will file to remove the condition. We can apply for a U.S. permanent residence 5 years from the date that the guys receive their green cards. The advantages of the EB-5: you don't require sponsorship from anybody. You don't need an employer or a family member to do this. A spouse and kids under the age of 21 can seek employment. There is no quota backlog for the EB-5. However, very recently, Chinese investors are limited in terms of a quota, and the overall number stands at 10,000 approvals maximum per annum. I'm just going to skip through some of these others. The B visa is a tourist visa, which one requires to come in. There are two types of B visa as tourists. One is a B2 for pleasure, and the other is a B1 visa, which one requires to come in for business meetings and so on. This does not allow you to be employed in the United States, but certainly you can attend conferences and whatever else you need to do. You must intend to return and show ties to your home country. These visas are applied for at the consulate. The H1 visa I'm going to skip through because that's for employees. The F1 visa is for students. The J1 visa is not really for us. K1 visa is for fiancés for people wishing to marry U.S. citizens. I'm going to go now to the E2 visa. The E2 visa is a visa which is available for citizens of certain countries with whom the United States has got certain trade agreements in place with. And these countries include most of the countries in Europe, some countries in South America, including Colombia, and various other countries in the Bahamas, as well as Australia, New Zealand, and various other random countries, surprisingly enough, like Pakistan and various others. This allows the citizens of these countries to come into the United States and set up or buy into a business in the U.S. The regulations indicate that there needs to be a significant investment in the business. However, the exact amount is not specified. I have put $35,000 there, but that's unfortunately no longer the case. And depending upon the country that you're a citizen of, the amounts nowadays are about $80,000 to $100,000 that you need to show that you have available to invest in the business. It can be a brand new business. There's no constraints how long it needs to be established for. It does not on its own lead to a green card. Typically, the visa is granted for an initial period of 2 to 3 years and extended for 5 years at a time. The advantages of the e-visa are that the spouse also gets work authorization on an unrestricted basis. Kids can go to school, and these visas are able to be fairly expeditiously processed. Disadvantages, as I've indicated, cannot on its own lead to a green card. Children of the e-visa cannot work. The funds must be at risk, and it is possible to renew your visa in the United States, but every time you leave, you will need to go back and have the visa renewed at the U.S. consulate. The L1 visa is the main visa with which we occupy ourselves with at the office. We do at least one of these a week. This is a great visa for any entity, or for those of you who are U.S. nationals who wish to set up a relationship, a formal relationship with an associated company outside the U.S. This allows companies' representatives, in other words, owners or senior employees, to come into the United States to set up a branch or subsidiary of their foreign company in the United States. And in doing so, allows the person who's being transferred to come in and run the business or operate together with others in the United States. There is no physical investment required. Spouse also gets work authorization, kids can go to school, and as long as the nexus or relationship is maintained between the US company and the foreign company, the visa may be extended for periods of 2 to 3 years at a time, and it is possible to apply for a permanent residence after the first year once the US operation is properly established. And what happens frequently with established companies is that intra-company transfers frequently take place between associated companies in the US and other companies overseas, where senior employees or specialist employees can be transferred from one company to the other. The parent and subsidiary companies don't need to be in the same business. There's no size limitation. There's no country limitation. These visas are available from most countries of the world. As I've indicated, the spouse can also work. Premium processing is available, which means expedited processing of these visa applications are available. And this is an expeditious visa to obtain permanent residence in the United States. Some of the disadvantages are that there must be a continued employment relationship with the United States company. There has to be a nexus between the US and the foreign company, so that if the foreign company ceases to exist, the L1 also ceases to exist. However, upon getting permanent residence, one does not need to keep the nexus, and the foreign company does not need to continue in operation. The O visa I don't really need to talk about. These are for people who are of extraordinary ability, can come and work in the United States. The I-140 petition is a petition which one files after 1 year, typically in L1 status or any other eligible status, to come in and get green cards. There are different preference categories. EB1 is the first preference categories. Those are for intra-company transfers for people of extraordinary ability and so on. Now, just a quick word on consular processing. We travel to consulates, we speak to US consulates worldwide. We attend interviews where we're allowed to attend with our clients. We counsel them otherwise or prepare them for the interviews. Consular processing is a particular experience which I hope many of you don't need to go through. These interviews are typically done at the window of the US consulate. They will last 5 or 10 minutes typically. The officer will need to know some pertinent information and will then make an immediate decision as to whether to grant the visa or not to grant the visa. Nowadays, all visa applications require an interview. Of course, everybody needs to be prepared to do these things. If there are any circumstances where there have been overstays, criminal convictions, or anything else like that, there may be waivers that are required. And again, we can certainly assist with these.
I learned something today, and I hear this seminars a lot, so great job. Thank you. Okay, all of our sponsors that you see here have tables at the matchmaking, so if you have scheduled matchmaking appointments, you get a chance to speak to them on both days.
I'm the president of South Florida Elite Security. We're providing service of Broward, Palm Beach, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. We've been in business for 2 years.
I'm very happy to be here today at this event. Not only is networking important, but also you get to meet other business entrepreneurs or also businesses from other countries, and I think it also expands your way of thinking and also making your business a lot better.
I think there's a good cross-section of nationalities and people here with different interests and different requirements. Certainly interesting to meet the people and find out what it is that they do and what it is that they're looking to do in the United States. We have a cross-section of international clients who are interested in setting up business in the United States, and United States people who are interested in meeting and contracting with international parties. So we like to put them together, assist with the visa work, with the corporate work, sometimes with the commercial work, and that's really how we fit into the picture.
I own 2 businesses. For 30 years, I'm a certified financial planner, and I help people accumulate wealth on a tax advantage basis. I show people how to move money from accounts that are always taxable to accounts that are never taxable, and how to do this without risk, with a competitive return and with guaranteed income. So I help people of all levels, all ages, all levels of income. One of the things I talk about is the need to diversify income streams. In today's day and age, the importance of not having the dependency on one form of income. So I am doing that for myself, and I am an independent distributor of a corporation called Organo Gold that provides a very, very healthy coffee and tea and hot chocolate. The reason it's so healthy and good tasting is because of a very healthy herb called Ganoderma that is grown in the mountains of China that is infused into our coffee and tea products and hot chocolate. You can't taste it or see it or feel the herb, but it has incredible health benefits. Oxygenates the body, detoxifies the blood, supports normal blood pressure and cholesterol, reduces inflammation. It's just a very, very healthy and good tasting beverage. And additionally, we're building distribution teams around the world, and we're currently doing business in 37 countries.
The big thing that we're doing is we're promoting real estate. People coming to Florida, coming to the United States and buying real estate. And we're specifically focusing this time on Tampa, Clearwater, and St. Peter's Beach. We are actually promoting a condo project on the water called Waterside in St. Petersburg. It is selling, it's starting at $109,000 for waterfront condos, which is unheard of. It's a very inexpensive way to get onto the water and get a beautiful view and get yourself a great condo. The other thing that I do is I do trainings. I do seminars, trainings. In one day I can set you free. Okay, I can show you a way that you can achieve your dreams and goals. In order for you to become a great success in life, number one, what you need is you need goals. You need to set some really strong, exciting goals that are going to light your fire and get you all excited. Number two, what you're going to need is a roadmap. It's called a plan. How do you get from here to there? So wherever you are and get there. The third thing you need is you need to develop some skill in that specific area to become better. And the fourth thing you need, which is most people miss, is called action.
I mean, we put limits on ourselves, and as he says there, I'm limitless.
I have to offer the opportunity to find out about connections throughout the world through sister cities, because we are a nonprofit. We're been in existence probably 55 years, and we do all sorts of programs. It depends on the city who is administering the program, where it's economic development, tourism, humanitarian, education, or whatever. I'm enjoying meeting all these new people and expanding my interest in Miramar. It's a beautiful, beautiful city.
Transworld Business Brokers has been in the business brokerage, franchise brokerage business for over 35 years. And we are trying to make connections for those who are coming in looking for visas, looking for a new chapter in life, to help them find it. And then also we help those who are looking to sell or buy franchises or businesses. We deal a lot with foreign investors who are coming into the U.S., especially Florida.
I was not very familiar with Miramar, so it's good to see that there is such a environment to do business, and that you are internationally involved in the trade environment.
We're very excited when we were told by Al Otero that this is where it's going to be, because I heard that they're very progressive. It's a very grown community, very business friendly. We met the mayor today, and she's like, we're open for business. And that's what you want, because sometimes you go to some communities and they're so closed down.
I think they really discovered Miramar to me. I didn't know very much about it, and just hearing the mayor talking about the Fortune 500 companies make it, put them in my mind on the map.
I want to thank the Global Trade Chamber for inviting me, and look forward to other events in the future.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be in the city of Miramar, Florida, the hub for international business in South Florida. And the Global Trade Chamber has been working for many years helping our Florida companies open new international markets, but also we're inviting companies from around the world to come to South Florida. So we're very excited about this tremendous event.
oh my goodness, there were countries here from Africa, from Qatar, from Belgium, from London, from Honduras, from Panama, from Trinidad and Tobago. How amazing is that to be able to host such an event in the city of Miramar, a city that prides itself on its cultural diversity. So I am honored to have been the host city for this event in partnership with Broward County, which we continue to do because together we succeed.